All right, I have Zachary Borrego on the show now, who fights next for Fury FC 65 on June the 26th when he meets Jesse Stalder. Zachary, how are you?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. Feeling good. Getting ready to get into fight week. I actually there's an opponent change, so I'm not fighting Jesse anymore. I'm fighting a new person. His name's Tommy Britton. That happened about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. So just a little game plan change, and we're back on it.
No
But
kidding.
feeling
Well,
good.
I was looking on Tapology earlier today, and I don't think it's been updated yet. So you said it
No.
happened about a week ago. What was that like for you to get an opponent change? Did it matter this deep into camp?
Well, I mean, to be honest, no, it really didn't matter. I'm coming off of a win that I just had last month. I finished the fight pretty quick, didn't really take no damage, and I was anxious to get back in. So it's kind of a quick turnaround. So, the way I'm feeling, the way I'm training, the way everything's going, it really didn't matter who was going to be in there. Um, but yeah, they say Tapology is pretty late on updates, man. So they gotta get someone pretty quick with it.
Yeah, no, for sure. It would have been nice to know that going into the interview. But hey,
hmm
I mean, that's got to be something as a fighter that you got to be preparing for because fights get canceled, new opponents change all the time. I mean, you see it in the highest of levels at the sport. As
hmm
far as this particular camp has been for you, has it been any different than previous camps, or is it? I know it's been kind of short because you just fought in May, but what has it been like thus far?
hmm Yeah, I mean, nothing too different. Luckily, this guy and my former opponent kind of had the same similar style. The only thing that's kind of different is this guy's a little bit taller, so a couple of little changes as far as working on the inside and seeing where the openings are. But other than that, camp's been good. I've really focused on recovery because I didn't really have a layoff, so my body's been feeling it a little bit, but at the same time, I think it's what I need, to focus on my recovery and making sure that each training session I'm good to go 100%. So other than that, man, everything's been smooth. I'm adding some new tools and working on the stuff that I'm good on. So ready to go.
Will this fight be at middleweight as well, or with the opponent change, did it change at all?
No, so this one was going to be at middleweight as well. I think that's kind of what happened with my last opponent. I think he was a 170er and that, had taken a few fights in middleweight. So I think that's, he found his weight class. It was, I mean, I really don't know. But, opponents pulling out for me isn't something new. My first professional fight, I had a total of 5 opponents pull out. So that was fun. Yeah. But it's something that, especially on the regional scene, like I'm not anyone to bash anybody. I know everyone's got lives outside of fighting. So it's just something that we kind of roll with the punches with and keep it moving.
What is that cut like for you to get to 185? I mean, you look like a pretty rugged guy. Is it an easy cut
hmm
for you, or do you have to really be disciplined to make that?
No, I definitely have to be disciplined. I started working with a nutritionist last camp, and so he's definitely made it a lot easier. Shout out to Eric Pena out of Florida. He's been kind of keeping me dialed in, but at the same time, I kind of like the discipline that it enforces on me. A lot of times, you can get, for people who don't cut, at least you can get kind of careless and I can have this and I can have that. Whereas for me, I definitely have to be on my P's and Q's. But I think it makes me more just disciplined and focused. So no weight cut is easy. If anybody ever says that, they're lying. But I think we're good where we're at. And I think, for me, myself, I'm about to be 26 next month. I still have an opportunity to grow into the weight class. A few people have told me that, if I trim out some stuff and maybe add some more muscle, I'll be a big 185er. And I already am. So I'm excited to continue to grow into that weight class and, of course, continue to fix a couple of things on the weight cuts to make it a little bit more easier. But I think we're getting adjusted pretty well.
What's the one food that when you're in camp, especially that last week when you're cutting the weight, that you just can't look at? You got to make sure you just stay away from.
Yeah. It's so funny that you say that, man, because I myself have like insane sweet tooth. Like, and I don't have no self control when it comes to donuts, to cookies. So there's this place that just opened up in San Antonio called Crumble Cookies. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's, I think, a nationwide thing, but I follow them on IG, man, and that's the worst decision I could have made, because every morning I'm like just looking, okay, I'm gonna make sure I get this, I'm gonna make sure I get that. So I'll probably have to stop doing that pretty soon, but for sure, anything sweet, man, I'm that's my thing.
Okay, well, if you're in Zachary's camp, make sure you keep the sweets away from him during weight cut week.
Yeah.
Now, when I was talking with Ed, signing up this interview here for you, Zachary,
Mhm,
he was talking about how hyped they are about you to have you signed to Iridium, and how they feel you have such a promising future as a fighter. So I just kind of wanted to go back
mhm,
to your beginnings to where you're at now. You're 2-0 as a pro now, and according to Tapology, you were 3-3 as an amateur. So how do you feel like you've
mhm.
grown as a fighter, and what did you learn from those losses that you suffered as an amateur?
Yeah. So my Tapology amateur record is also wrong. Actually, 4-3. Not that it really matters, but I think, so growing up, I've always had a stand-up background. I've done point karate as a kid. I then transitioned into Muay Thai kickboxing. I have a Taekwondo background as well. Actually competed in a junior Olympic trial as a teenager. So most of my losses as an amateur were, the ground portion. And it wasn't necessarily me not knowing what to do. It was me putting myself in positions that I shouldn't have been in. And so, I definitely, I spent about a year as an amateur. And each one of those losses were mistakes that I learned a lot from. And it wasn't something, all my losses were never something that I was just totally like outclassed on. It was just stuff that I was unfamiliar with. And so, those experiences, although they suck, I tell people all the time, it's not like, my goal was to, oh, well, I learned something. No, my goal was to definitely win, but they definitely made me a better fighter coming out of that. One of my losses was to a Division 1 wrestler who was making his debut, and no one knew that he was a Division 1 wrestler, so that was fun. And he taught me a different side of the game, as far as, not a lot of these guys, with these wrestling background, like jiu-jitsu works, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, you have to be aware of where their pressure is, and and putting yourself against the cage, and just a whole bunch of knowledge that I learned after that fight. My second loss was, a 2-week fight notice that I took at a different weight class, and that's kind of what made me decide, hey, I can't be fighting 6'6" 205ers anymore, who are cutting down from 245. And there was something in that fight that actually got taken up to the state commission that should have been overturned, but again, I don't really look too much on that. And then my last fight, which was for the belt, I could have finished it. I really could have, but I just made a few small mistakes against the jiu-jitsu world champion, and got choked out. So those are all things, like I said, that unfortunately happened, but at the same time, they made me so much more better. I can honestly say, after each one of those losses, I was never down on myself. I'm like, okay, if this is the best of the best, if I just lost to a Division 1 wrestler, it's just, a couple of things here that I got to tweak up. If I just lost to a jiu-jitsu world champ, it's just me not giving up my back. It's little things that I immediately took back with me to the gym, and I've been working on, and feel really, really confident going into this third fight of my professional career.
When you talk to your coaches and your training partners now, like, what do they tell you as far as your future? Like, how far do they think that you can go? How far do you think you can go? I got to imagine the goal is the top promotion in the world, which is the UFC.
hmm Yeah, I mean, that's always been my goal. I guess it's becoming a little bit more clear now. I think the path before is just, that's the goal, and then there's really no like in between of actually how to get there. It's just, I'm gonna win until I get there. But ever since I made the jump, because I did have like a kickboxing background for a little bit, and when I made the transition into MMA, a lot of the people that I was training with were like, you have the talent, you have the body, you have the skill. It's just a matter of putting everything together. And back then, I'm like, okay, coach is just being nice today, like he probably tells this to everyone. But I really feel that they, the people who've told me that, because they've been there themselves. I have a few training partners, a few coaches that have been in the UFC or Bellator, and so they wouldn't, lie to me about stuff like that. And I guess for me, it was a matter of just getting my confidence up. Like I feel like now I'm at a point where I can actually see myself competing at the highest level, and I want to get there. I tell everyone all the time, like my goal isn't just to say, hey, I made it to the UFC. My goal is to be successful in the UFC, to actually become one of the best in the world, to compete against, one of the best in the world. For myself, competition has always been a part of my life. I played Division II football. I've always tried to do something at the highest ability. And so when I get there, I definitely am wanting to compete and be one of the best in the world.
When you look at your skill set right now, how far away do you think you are? I mean, do you got to get 5, 6, 7, wins as a pro before you feel like you're ready to make that jump? I mean, you're seeing some guys go to Contender Series that have had 4 fights as a pro that are getting that shot. Like, how far away do you think you are right now?
If I'm being completely honest, I would like to get to that maybe 6-0 mark. And the only reason I say that is just because, like I said, when I get there, I don't want to be someone that gets there and then loses because of a, I rushed it or something like that, and then I'm having to work my way back up. Once I get there, I want to be in a position to where I feel I'm good everywhere. And I think in 3 fights from now, I think confidence wise and skill ability wise, I think, I'll be able to compete. But with that being said, if I got the call after my 4th fight, depending on the matchup and I probably would take it. I have something that my father, who is my main coach, has always told me is I do have a lot of power in both my feet and my hands. And I always thought he was just kind of being a father, saying those things. But my last 2 fights, it seems like when I touch people, they're either going down. And so I think, with having that natural skill and natural ability, on top of all the other skills that I continue to add on, I'm a dangerous, opponent for anybody.
When you look at Israel Adesanya right now, do you feel like there's anybody that can dethrone him at 185 that's currently in the UFC?
hmm Um, I think this next fight is going to be really good. I think stylistically, it's an interesting matchup just because Cannonier is going to have to work on the inside, and he's pretty good at that. Um, and I think that depending on Izzy's been champ for what, 2 years now. Sometimes it can kind of get repetitive, but I think his stand up is just so good that it kind of eliminates everyone else's his game plan. His ability to get out of danger, his ability to keep his range. He's a big 185 or 6'4", and his ability to read a fighter, is what makes it tough for anybody. But I think this next fight will be interesting, and hopefully he'll still be there when my time's up too.
Yeah, no, that would be very cool. All right, man, let's dive into this fight. Fury FC 65, New Orleans, June 26th, which is a Sunday. And of course, if you can't be there in the venue, come fight now. You can watch it at home on UFC Fight Pass. What is the travel going to be like for you to get to New Orleans? How close do you live in comparison to where the venue is?
Yeah, so I live in San Antonio, Texas. It's about an 8-hour drive. We just, I'm in summer right now too, and my job, I'm fortunate enough to have some time off. So I'm going to be taking about a week off. So we just figured we're going to drive out there. We'll probably be up there next Wednesday, just to kind of get used to any variables that come with travel, and then of course to have at least 2 full days of getting my body right, making sure I don't bloat too much driving over, and I have a full day to cut. So that's kind of what it is for us. I definitely plan. So I actually did a smoker at Tim Kruder's gym, like my first MMA kind of entrance into MMA. And he has a good relationship with our gym. So I might stop over there and maybe get a little shakeout, just to get everything prepared. But yeah, like traveling and competing for me is nothing really new. It's something that's always been a part of my life. So it's fun to take it to the road and get some new fans and put on a show for the people in New Orleans.
Who's going to be making the trip with you and cornering you come fight night?
So of course, like I said, my father is my main coach. He's the one who owns my main home gym that I train out of. I also have my wrestling / grappling coach, Chris Herrera. He also works at our gym. He works at a few other gyms locally here in San Antonio. He's a Bellator vet. Those two will be cornering us, cornering me for this next fight. I've worked with a few other coaches, Ray Rodriguez, Ultimate Submission Academy. He was in the UFC for a little bit. My two main training partners, Anthony Ivy, he was in the UFC for a little bit. And then one of my best friends, someone that I grew up competing with, Isaac Moreno, is actually fighting on the same card. So that's kind of like my main circle that I train with. For this trip alone, it'll be my father, my wrestling coach, and then I'll probably see Isaac and all of his coaches up there that I've worked with as well.
You got a hell of a team around you, my man. Now, as far as this new opponent goes, you said he's a little bit taller, longer. Does the game plan change for you at all here?
A little bit, I think he is a 13 fight veteran, so that's one thing we're keeping in mind. He's a Bellator vet as well. His reach is pretty lengthy, so I think as far as adjustments goes, it's more going to be in the fight. I would like to maybe take a little bit more time, kind of measure him out, see where his reach is at, see my openings. But overall, I think my stand up is just better. I think if I want to take it to the ground, my cage wrestling and even my open mat takedowns is a little bit more better. It seems like everybody who takes him down can kind of keep him there. He is a lengthy guy, so that's one thing we'll have to watch out for. The one thing I'm excited though is out of his 13 or 14 fights, I believe he's only been finished once, and all of my fights right now are finishes. So I think that's going to be really interesting. I don't like going to the judges, not here in Texas. I don't want to chance it in New Orleans. So I think that's something that I'm really looking forward to as well.
Is this the toughest fight of your career thus far, especially with the experience that he has?
I would say so. I came from fighting a guy before him. My former opponent had the same record as me. He was 1-1. So that was a jump, coming from someone who's same kind of experience level to a 14 fight veteran with the Bellator experience is definitely a jump. Luckily and fortunate enough for me, I was able to see his last fight. He actually fought on the same card as me in San Antonio. So I kind of have an idea of what he brings to the table. But that's what I told the promoter. That's what I told my management. I said, every opponent that I face from here on out, I want it to challenge me and push me. That'll help me take that next step further in my career. And so I think he's exactly that person for me.
You said earlier you don't like going to the judges. You're going to be looking for a finish. Give me your official prediction here, Zachary. How do you see this fight officially ending?
Man, I gave a prediction my last two fights, and they totally didn't end up how I predicted. So I'm pretty bad on predictions, but I will say that for this fight, the plan is to take my time. Both of my last two fights have started pretty quick, and that's something that a lot of people, well, can he go 3 rounds, or is he leaving enough to go a full 15 minutes? My conditioning is really good. I bust my butt a lot of the time to be able to push that pace. And like I said, I feel like I have power in both my hands and my feet. I'm elusive. So it's really not my fault if it ends quick, but for this fight, I do plan on taking my time, getting his distance, and then catching him in an open area that maybe I make a read off of, his lengthy movement. So.
All right, man. Well, I live in New England, so I won't be in New Orleans on June 26th, but I will be watching on UFC Fight Pass. You can guarantee that. Again, Zachary Borrego meets his new opponent. You said Timothy, what is his last name again?
Tommy Britton.
Tommy Britton. Okay, Tommy Britton.
Mm-hmm.
Fury FC 65, June the 26th. Really fantastic interviewing you for the first time today, my man. Before I do let you go, I want to give you the floor. Please tell people where they can follow you on social media. And if you have any sponsors, anyone to thank, the floor is yours.
Yeah. So you can follow me on Instagram at ZB_58. It's the same thing for my Twitter handle, ZB_58. Facebook, you can just Facebook my name, Zachary Borrego. I'm pretty active on all three. Um, YouTube channel coming soon. That's going to be fun. I'm going to be doing a lot of like day in the life videos and stuff like that. Um, and then, of course, I'd like to give a shout out to my home gym, DKA Academy here in San Antonio. My head coach, Greg Borrego, my wrestling coach and grappling coach, Chris Herrera. All of my training partners, the guys over at USA, the guys out in Edinburgh and the Valley who I train with, and then my sponsors, PlyFit, which is my strength and conditioning, Lion Fit Foods, he kind of takes care of my nutrition. We got Solar Electric, which has been a proud supporter of mine for a while. Martinez and Associates, he's also another supporter of mine who's been with me literally from the very beginning. Rich Mitchell, who's a private sponsor. We have Willie B's, a restaurant that I'm looking forward to after this dub that I get to go celebrate at. They got great pizza and wings. We got Revive and Relief Massage, who takes care of my body on a weekly basis. So I definitely appreciate that and looking forward to our appointment tomorrow. Who else do we got? We got man, there's so many people that have been a part of my career that are still, and I do apologize, but they know that I'm horrible with remembering people, but I do represent and support, appreciate y'all's support very proudly. So thank you very much.